Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today it's the third week in October. It's a gorgeous evening, and it's been about 2 weeks since I did the experiment with oiling the eyes of my figs, and I wanted to take you along today and show you the results. So this is my lower fruit forest, and I'll link some videos above that talk about my fig trees, especially the one where I oiled my figs. And there has been a marked difference. So I did this I oiled my figs probably on the 5th of October, and right now it's the 21st. So as you can see, we have had just about every fig ripen. So I'm going to pick the figs that are ripe, and then we're going to go talk about them as I do a taste test. So right here is a Negron fig. When I picked it, there's no milk at the end. It was very, very soft, and it was hanging off the neck. This part right here is the neck. So that's the way that I know they're ripe. Let's pick the rest of the ripe ones off these. This fig is my Ronde Bordeaux. There were no ripe figs on it before. And if you'll look at it and notice, the figs that are ripening are the ones on the lower part of the branch. But the higher up we go, and the smaller the figs are, the less ripe they are. So let's see how ripe these are. This one's definitely ripe enough to pick. And so is this one. This one is almost ready, but not quite. So we're just going to harvest 2 of the Ronde Bordeaux. There, we got the focus. This is my brown turkey. This one's definitely ripe. That one is also ripe. So is this one. Another one down here. So the brown turkey has been ripening all season really nicely. Now the last one to look at is the one on the south side of my house, which is my Chicago Hardy. Now we had several ripen early, and then some of them stalled. This one is mostly ripe. We'll just pick it. This one's really ripe. And then we've got some that are just starting. So we've got a few more that we could harvest later if we end up getting enough time for them to ripen. So here's all 4 of the figs that we're going to trial. This one right here is the Negron. This is the Ronde Bordeaux. This is my brown turkey. I'm calling it a brown turkey, but it was a gift from a friend, and I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm assuming it's a brown turkey. And this is the Chicago Hardy. Now, as I said, this is the 3rd week in October, and we are really actually late for our first fall frost. So this has given these figs a long time to be able to ripen this year. Last year we didn't get our first fall frost until the beginning of November, and it looks like that may happen again this year, which I am rejoicing. It's given me a much longer season of tomatoes. I'm still harvesting good tomatoes, and the figs have had a chance to ripen. But here in Utah, on normal years, we end up having our first fall frost early to mid-October. Sometimes we'll have it as early as September, and that definitely shortens the time period for figs to be able to ripen. Matter of fact, this year my figs did not start ripening until the end of September. Well, probably mid to the end of September. They were pretty late this year. Now, if you live in a colder climate, it is important to look at the type of figs you purchase, and purchase ones that are supposed to ripen early. Now, my Ronde Bordeaux, Negron, and Chicago Hardy are supposed to all be early ripeners, as is my brown turkey. Those are supposed to be the earliest ones. Then the other ones that I've chosen, the Marseilles Black VS, Italian Honey, and Olympian are supposed to be just a little bit later. Those are new trees, and they didn't produce figs this year, so we weren't able to see what happened. But unfortunately, what I'm seeing so far, this is the 2nd year I've had the Ronde Bordeaux, and it has produced and ripened figs the latest of all mine. So that is a very interesting thing for me to see, and it'll be interesting to see how things go in the future. Now the surprise one was my black mission fig. My black mission fig was another one that was a gift that I just didn't expect would do well here in Utah at all. I thought it was a late ripener and that it's not cold hardy. Now keep in mind, this is going to be its first year in ground, and we're going to protect it pretty heavily just to make sure that it does survive. But it was my earliest ripener. I've already ripened all the figs on it and eaten them, and they were really, really good. I really enjoyed that fig. So now that we've talked about ripening times, let's go up and look at the difference between the figs that ripen naturally and the ones that ripen because I oiled the eyes. So I'm going to put up on screen a couple of the figs that ripened without oiling the eyes and show you how jammy the interiors are. And what I seem to be finding is the figs where the eyes were oiled come out with, it's a drier texture, a little more mealy. The flavor is still really good, but the texture is not as jammy. Now this one was a little bit more ripe. It looks a little bit better. Let's just cut up open all of them and see what they all look like. Now it looks like the Negron is pretty good. They're definitely drier than they were when ripened naturally, but they're okay. They're a little bit jammy. This is the Ronde Bordeaux, and this one looks okay. It is pretty dry though. The worst one is the brown turkey. This is pretty dry and pretty mealy. It'll be interesting to see what it tastes like. And then the Chicago Hardy actually looks pretty good. Now I think I'm going to start with the Chicago Hardy and try this one first. Now Chicago Hardy that are ripened naturally taste really good, and I really like them. This is definitely a drier texture. It's not as jammy as it was, but it is definitely just as sweet as it was before. And the berry tones are a little more pronounced. Now, if it weren't for the texture being a little bit off, these would be absolutely amazing. But the texture is a little bit off, but it's still worth it because it would either be no figs or these figs. Let's try the brown turkey. Now I have to say the brown turkey is not worth eating. It's got kind of an off flavor. These may have gone past peak ripeness, but I've been kind of watching them and they were pretty firm. So I don't really like these. Now when they ripen naturally, the brown turkey is really a delicious, delicious fig. It's kind of got a more brown sugary, I wouldn't say there's very much of a berry flavor, but they're very sweet. But right now they're not very sweet and not very flavorful. Next we're going to try the Ronde Bordeaux. Normally they have a really good sweet berry flavor, so let's see what they taste like when they are ripened by oiling the eye. Now the Ronde Bordeaux was really good. It's definitely not at the level it was when it was naturally ripened, but it does still have a very strong berry flavor and is very sweet. Now it did have just a slight melon overtone, which normally in the growing season, when they're normally ripened, that means that they're not quite fully ripe. But this one I think means it was edging on being a little overripe. So the final one we're going to try is my Negron. And frankly, these actually look the best. So let's see if these taste the best. Now my vote is the Negron was the best. It has a very, very good deep berry flavor. It's very sweet and is edging on the jammy texture, the same as it would be if I naturally ripened it. So all in all, I say this experiment is a good one. If you're nearing the end of the season and you know that frosts are coming and your figs are just not ripening, definitely try oiling the eyes. And like I said, I'll link the video up above that shows you how I did it. And I would love to hear if you've tried oiling your fig's eyes and if you found the flavor as good as naturally ripened or if it was a little different than if they were naturally ripened. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you. If it has been helpful, I hope you like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden adventure.